To some people, failure is just simply not doing what they know they can do. It changes depending on the stage of your life. When you're a child, it's kind of hard to fail. It's hard to fail when you're a child, and let me tell you why. There's an automatic growth that we all experience in the first 20, 25 years of our life, right? Think of somebody who's 20 years old or 25 years old and compare that person to when they were a newborn. Look at all the growth that has happened from the time they were born to the time that they're in their mid-20s. Okay? That's a lot of growth. Even if you're not putting forth the effort, the growth is there. Right? Some of the things we take for granted, you can walk, you can talk, now you have language, you can communicate. When you're born with zero. Everything after that is just profit. So you have 25 years worth of profit for the first quarter of your life. Compare a 25-year-old to a newborn. All of that is growth. Now, even if you don't put the effort, even if you don't study, if you don't go to school, your diet is horrible, there's still growth. It's automatic. It's very hard to not grow from the time you're born to the time you're 25, right? There's a lot of profit there. And a lot of people assume or subconsciously think that this growth is going to continue to happen after the first quarter of their life. But something happens after the first quarter of your life where growth is no longer automatic. Before, you didn't have a choice. You were going to grow regardless. Now you have a choice, right? Now, growth is based on what you do and your ability to overcome these failures. Nothing can really wound you unless you give it your attention. A failure cannot hurt you unless you give it your attention. Your wound requires attention in order for you to experience the wound. But if you don't give it attention, then the failure is not really there. You just move on. And this is usually the case when you're a child. When you fail at things, you usually don't give it much attention. You just move on, right? It's not until you get older and you're developing that you start exerting your energy and attention to some of these failures when you compare yourself to other people. And at that point, these failures come about because you're exerting your attention to them. When you're a child, that's not the case. It's very hard to fail. And as you get experience, people say, like, as you get older, experience is the teacher of all things, right? You've heard that experience is the teacher of all things. But that's not entirely true. Experience is not necessarily the teacher of all things. I know a lot of people, and I've said this before, I know of a lot of people that have plenty of experience, but they're not necessarily better for it, right? What they lack is the reflection from those experiences. So they experience something, but if there's no takeaway, then that opportunity to learn something from the experience is lost. It's in the reflection that the lessons are learned. It's not in the experience, it's in the reflection of the experience where you're able to grow. So you have to soak in the reflection, even if it's inconvenient or makes you uncomfortable. You have to soak it in. It's part of the nature of things. So you have to specifically screen or evaluate what the problem is in order for you to get a lesson off of it, right? The same way people tell you you need to have specific goals, you also need to do specific screenings or specific evaluations of what the problems are. You have to face them. You have to be able to acknowledge and interpret the problem that led to the failure. It's not just specific goals, it's specific screenings of what you're doing wrong. You have to sit back and audit what it is that you're doing wrong. Or how can you improve the next time around, as opposed to throwing a pity party for yourself when you experience failure. Now, if you do this, this is what opens up the next dimension of possibilities for you to move on to the next level. If you experience something without the reflection, then you get stuck. There's no growth.